Hello, NLC parents. This is Mr. Wiltz again with another video on our reopening plan for NLC Elementary. Today I'm going to talk about three important topics, one of those being lunch, one of those being lockers, and one of those being recess. So I'm going to scroll down in the document. And again, I encourage you, if you haven't, please take some time, go through this, talk with your students. That'll give them a very good idea of what things are going to look like when they come back to school August 27th. So on page 5, I believe it talks about our lockers and cubbies. So most of the way we're going to use our lockers and cubbies is essentially just for storage throughout the day. In other words, when students get here, they'll put their coats and their bags in their lockers or their cubbies, and they essentially won't go to those until the end of the day. And of course, they'll do that in a staggered fashion. And that way we don't have all students side by side all throughout the day at their lockers, because again, we're trying to limit that close distancing of students. So when students get here, they'll be able to put their coats, if they have coats, their bags. They will take anything that's personal that they need throughout the day. They'll take that into the classroom. Students will be, junior high anyways, will be allowed to take their cell phones into their classroom. There'll be policies on when they can use that, because obviously we want to give them the same opportunities to use their cell phones that we did before, such as during lunchtime when, we'll talk about lunch. But again, just some periods of time to where they can have that privilege a little bit. So elementary, obviously, they'll store any cell phones if they would have them, along with their coat and their bags in their locker, and then they would get those then at the end of the day. So that's kind of what lockers and cubbies will look like. The only exception to that will be junior high. They'll keep their PE shoes in there. I just couldn't convince my junior high teachers to want to have PE shoes into in their classrooms. Can't really blame them. So we'll keep those in their lockers, and then there'll be a staggered release out for PE, so they can get their PE shoes on. I would highly encourage, though, to limit that if students would just wear shoes that they could participate in PE with. So that would help, so that we don't have every kid going out to get their PE shoes. And staggering that out would take a little bit of time away from PE. So to help with that, I appreciate if you talk with them about just wearing, PE appropriate, shoes and things like that. So kind of scrolling down a little bit, again, talking about lunch. We already talked, I think, a little bit about breakfast. The breakfast will be served in the classroom, again, with doors opening at 7:45 for that. And lunch also, grades 2 through 8 will be served in the classroom. So we will come with a cart, again, hot meals, but those will be served then to the students in their classroom. So they'll eat at their desk essentially. K1, we will have our littles. Those classes by themselves, or sections. So one section, the section of kindergarten, will go in the cafeteria and eat lunch. And then, of course, after they're done, we have 5 minutes of cleaning time. Then we'll have one section of our first grade go in for lunch, 5 minutes of cleaning time, one more section of first grade, so on and so forth. And also sixth grade, I did forget about that. So sixth grade also will utilize our cafeteria. So all the grades 2 through 5 and 7 and 8 will get their lunches in their classroom. So that's a little bit about lunch. Oh, we also, again, part of our, restrictions with visitors and things like that is that we will not be allowed to have parents come in to eat lunch with their kids. So that's something that we're not going to be able to do. And one other thing that's real important to understand this year is that there won't be microwave usage this year, because obviously we can't have a microwave in every single classroom. So please make sure, if any kids that are bringing in a lunch, make sure that lunch is something that's ready to eat, that's cold, that doesn't have to be warmed up. So if you send them with that pizza Lunchable, they're going to have to eat it cold. So just be aware of that. We will, of course, have a microwave in the cafeteria, but in order to be fair to everybody, we didn't want some grades to be able to use a microwave and some not. So again, we're just looking at everybody having cold lunches if they bring it in. Of course, like I said, if they get served a school lunch, that'll be a warm meal served on carts to the classroom for those grades that I mentioned. Lastly, on recess. So there will be recess, and in fact, we're going to use outdoor time as often as possible. So on days that it's nice, we're going to have a lot of areas that we've already set up for classrooms to go outside. They can space out, they can take their masks off, and just give them that mask break, just get that fresh air. So that's going to be really important this year. So in fact, my staff even met today to talk about using those spaces. So that will definitely be high on the priority list, is to get outside, get out of the classroom. We don't want these kids stuck, nor do the teachers want to be stuck in their classrooms if they can go outside and it's a nice day. That might be walks, that might just be going out and just sitting, reading a book, or maybe even having a lesson outside. So you might even hear them reaching out to you and asking maybe for a beach towel or something like that for your kids to bring, so they can have a place to lay down. So we want to make this fun. We want to make it enjoyable. So that's kind of what we're looking like for to use for outdoor space. Other than that, like I said, there's a lot more in here. I want to try to keep these as short as possible. So if you have any questions as you're going through these, please feel free, because I want you to understand as much as possible what things are going to look like before kids get here. I will say for kindergartners, I'm working with my kindergarten teacher to allow kindergarten kindergarten parents to come in with their kids, maybe on a schedule, maybe that day before. We're still working through the details, so that you can have that, day one, if you will, kindergarten experience. Sometimes I know those kindergartners, it's kind of shaking them off your leg to want to, that first day is always real important and real fun. So we'd hate to, not have that. So we're really going to be working on that so that we can give you that experience. At least day one, kindergarten parents can bring in their items, one at a time. Like I said, probably with a schedule. So be looking for that. I'll have the kindergarten teacher. We'll reach out on that once we have all those details done. So lastly, obviously open house, where again, I want to remind people that we will not be able to have that again, just because of the large amount of people that would bring into the building. So that's in part why I'm going through these video sessions, to kind of try to walk you through some of the details. So again, I encourage you, and I'll end on this. If you have questions, please feel free. Contact us at the office. My teachers are in the building. They're working. My secretary's here. We're here to answer any questions that you may have. So again, that number, 620-481-2086. Look forward to talking to you soon, and take care for now.